Good morning, everyone. This is Ron. It's Sunday morning, pretty morning. Hope it is where you are. Uh, See if we have any questions. How do we want to start today?
Ron, this is Val.
Hey, Val, how are
I
you?
am I'm good, thanks, and yourself?
I am well, thank you.
Good. I want to know, where did we come up with certain sayings? For example, the one where I remember when we were kids, we used to call somebody an Indian giver. You know, they would give us something and they would take it back, and we would call them an Indian giver. And the other one is when you either think of somebody, or when you think about somebody and they show up, or you think about them and they happen to call, you say, speaking of the devil.
Yeah, yeah. I remember both of those very plain. Uh, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about Val's question?
Hey, Ryan.
Yes,
One of
sir.
the
How you doing,
questions,
Chuck? Uh-huh.
I'm doing good, Ryan. One of the questions that Val had said, I remember I had said that once before, and Rep said, Indians don't take back what they say. When you get it from an Indian, or if an Indian give you something, it's yours. They don't take anything back. That right there was it's the European thinking put that in our head.
Okay.
They put that in
And
Yeah.
that man, and that speaking of the devil thing, it's just like the way it is when you be talking about somebody and then you look around, they showed up, and just speaking of the devil, are they coming?
or they call.
Are they called?
Yeah. And you know, how and where we pick those things up from is it's a good question because it goes back, uh, it's sort of what we were taught, and I agree with Charles, and we'll get there in a minute. Just curious as to what other people think.
Ron,
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
um, what Charles said about the Indian giving thing, I remember that.
Yeah.
I've always said that.
Okay.
The speak of the devil, when I think about it, and I want you guys to think about it as well. I have never heard anyone say that who did not go to church. Have you? Think about it. That's not rhetorical.
Well, now that you mention it,
You're right, Rep. That was it.
You're right.
So isn't it ironic that the very people who supposedly detest the devil will come up with a saying like that? Now, who originated the original person who brought that into our vernacular? I don't know who it was. However, I do know that I've never heard it from anyone who didn't go to church. That's it. I don't know anything else about it beyond that.
well, I guess along those lines, I agree with Charles' first statement. It seems like a lot of things we were taught were very negative. Uh, you know, and those things sort of became who we were and how we saw things, and I guess how we looked at each other, and that is no coincidence. So that's why I appreciate Val bringing up those things again. Uh, are things that need to be uncovered, things that need to be discarded from how we see ourselves, and that too, bringing it up and discussing it and talking about it from a uh, perspective for seeing it for what it is, to me, is a way of forgiveness. There are a lot of things speaks to forgiveness. Rather, there are a lot of things like that that we've done innocently that that may have marred us or caused confusion, and so just another opportunity to, for the sake of mankind, to be forgiving.
Ron, good morning. Oh, go ahead, Pastor.
No, go ahead.
No, I just had a question along the lines. Good morning, this is Kathy. Along the lines
Okay.
of what Val just asked. In reading the book Overthrow, as far as I can get in it, because I get upset and then I stop reading it and then I try it again later. Could it have been that somewhere along the lines that there was some treaty that was signed with Indians that gave away their land or something, and when the Indians realized that, they fought to get back what was theirs because they had been tricked and duped into giving it up. And then the European termed that as them being Indian givers because you gave this to us under false pretenses, of course, because they're not telling them what's really in the treaty. Could it have originated from something like that, I wondered? That was just my thought.
Very much so. That makes all the sense in the world, Catherine. I can see that happening. The thought that came to my mind is, you ever heard a couple argue and a man will accuse the woman of the very thing that he's guilty of? He turns it around and make her feel guilty, something he has been doing to her. It's a very common and effective weapon that men use, and put women on the defensive. And that's what I thought of, it being something that was done to the indigenous people, and you turn it back to make it look like they're the ones who have been dishonest, and they're the ones who have been deceitful and caused conflict. So that's what I thought of, but I like yours as well, because I can see that happening. Anyone else?
Was someone else about to say something?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. This is George. This is GC in Philly. And I just wanted to just mention about a, image that, we probably already may have seen before or heard, but it's the picture, where the European says, we're going to give you the Bible, but yet and still they took the land. And again, just being caught up in the indoctrination of what we were told to be good, but at the same time, it being twisted. And so it just made me think about that in terms of just images and things that we might have seen over a period of time. So I just wanted to, just share that thought, because that was something that, is it still happening today with what's going on in Israel or over in, Palestine. But again, the land, was something that I guess we were twisted with in terms of accepting the Bible as being the truth. So I just want to share those thoughts. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, George. Yeah, thank you. That's also part of what we're talking about. All those things apply.
When you say speak of the devil or jump the devil, when you say, you're talking about speak of a deceiver, you're actually calling the person a deceiver or an adversary. So I think that's something, it seems to be benign, but I think it's extremely important, because what we say has an effect on not only the person who we are speaking of, but on us as well. And these negative, these sayings with negative connotations are just as dangerous as are those intended negative things that we say about people. And I use negative in the way that we have known negative to be, meaning something that is adversarial to humanity. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Val, does that help? Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you all.
Good
Thank you.
question. Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else?
Ron, I have a question. This is Evelyn. Good morning, family.
Good
Have
morning.
you guys heard? Oh, I'm sorry. Good morning. Have you heard that the American language was created to cast spells?
No, I have not. I have not heard that. Where did you hear that?
It was a clip I saw on it was a podcast I was listening to on YouTube, and they were saying because everyone else says something, their language is totally different from ours. It's like we say good morning, and this guy was saying morning means like you're mourning someone transitioning. It was just a play on words on what we do with the words we use here in the state and in America. But I'm gonna look more into it. But it, and that's why they say you have to be careful what you say.
Yeah.
And yeah. But I'm gonna look more into it. I just thought that was interesting. And then for Bill to bring that up, yeah, that was something I started thinking about.
That is interesting. I have not read about it, but maybe someone else has. Anybody like to speak to what Evelyn talking about, the language, English language?
This is Val, Ron. I've heard that. I've seen it on a few like a few YouTube videos where people do talk about words have spells, and the good morning. I seen one where it says Rastafarians. There are 7 things that they don't say. Instead of saying good morning, they say grand rising. They don't say understanding. It's either overstanding or innerstanding. Blessed is be less. So they say be more. Yeah, different things like that. But yes, I have heard that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Val.
I have two, Ron.
You're welcome.
Is there a solution or something you guys think we should? Here's my thoughts on it, and I have not read that, but I can appreciate it, and I see what you're saying. I guess a lot of it, to me, my first thought is intent. I know what I mean to you if I say good morning to you. And I had never thought about it that way. I guess I will from now on see it that way. I'll think about it that way at least. The other thought that came to my head was there are a lot of people out there now that are trying anyway to step out of the box and think a little bit. Because I firmly believe, especially in America, we're not thinkers. We're not taught to think. We're trained to get jobs and to fit in and be a part of the zombie culture, but we are not taught to think individual thoughts and separate ourselves on stuff like what if this or how did this happen or to question things. So when things like that, because there are a lot of people out there, you see people questioning things, and I think that's a good thing. I really do. So that is positive. I'm not sure what we could do about the English language or or if anybody else has any suggestions. What do you guys
Ron,
think?
I have another comment. It was called, this guy was talking about it. It was in the Book of Wisdom. And I remember when I was little, how my brothers and people in my generation, how the men would say, what's happening? You know, and they'll say, everything is everything. So we had our own language until the European mindset injected their way of writing and the things that were said and how they say stuff. So, you know, our stuff was like soulful stuff. It touched the soul. I mean, it was just genuine, authentic to me. And we've lost, seems like we done got away from that. But yeah, thank you. That's all I want to say.
You're exactly right. In fact, not in those words, but Pastor and I were talking about that a little bit on yesterday. We've arrived. You know, there's nothing wrong with bettering ourselves for education-wise and getting things, but the more we gained in that way in materialism, the less we've seen ourselves as a community, and that has been harmful. So I do indeed understand what you're saying, and all of this, as we have discussed many a times before, all of this stuff that we speak of is being uprooted. As Pastor said, it may seem like there's just little things, but all of it has come together and cause an effect, cause a big ripple. So, yeah, I appreciate all the things that we discuss and may not always have solutions, but it's worthy of talking about. It has value. Anyone else?
Good morning. This is Audrey.
Hey, Audrey.
It sounds, the speak of the devil thing, it sounds to me like it's one of those medieval things that's basically grounded in superstition. So yeah, I think we need to be careful of what we say and what we believe in terms of things like that, because that kind of comes out of just plain old superstition, and trying to scare people into believing certain things. But what you were talking about, your example about men, how they accuse women of the kinds of things they do, it's projection. And I just wanted to comment that it sounds like our former president.
Yeah. Thank you, Audrey. It's a very effective tool to get you to look at yourself and think, wow, did I do that? And as we discuss all these things, and although they may not have ABC solution, you do this, you do that, I will appreciate and watch my language, things that I say and that sort of thing. I'm not one to say speak of the devil, but I can't say I've never said it. But just because I'm sure there are other little things out there that are just as dangerous that we may not be able to think of right now, just as negative rather. So but the part that I think we do have control over is we have, because of our sincerity and desire, I think we have earned the right to say that we forgive each other. We forgive the past and all of those harmful things that we have done, all those harmful things that we have said, all those things that may have hurt somebody and not even known it, or even hurt somebody's feelings. So forgiveness is, very important, I think, when we have these discussions, to kind of not necessarily a solution, but it doesn't stop it, but it certainly brings spirituality into it and bring that a different energy to it. So,
I was looking at something online just now, and when
Yes, sir.
Audrey said it sounded like old English, medieval English, I looked at the words, the phrase rather, speak of the devil, and its first appearance is known to be in the 1600s, and it is its origin is Old English, and the ironic thing about it is this. It is true meaning. It says that the full form goes like this: speak of the devil, and he will appear. That in itself is based upon, as it says in this, superstition, as Audrey mentioned earlier. So, and if you go on from that and continue to read it, what you end up seeing is that this minister said, "Be careful of that. My words, not his, because if you speak of the devil, he will appear. So refrain from doing that." I think that's ironic. That the other end of that is the devil will appear if you speak of him. That's basically what it's saying. So
But
again,
is that not,
go ahead, Bob.
sorry,
No, go
but
ahead.
is that not what's happening with verbiage today? Look at the way words are used politically, and how depending on your motive and depending on your intent and your desire, you can literally create a spell with words, if you will. In other words, if you lie, I'm sorry, is that me?
Yeah.
I have feedback. So
Yeah,
do I need to,
we have to stop also.
do you guys hear that?
Yeah, we hear.
yeah.
Yes, I hear it too.
Yeah. Well, I'll just hang up and call back just in case that's me. Okay.
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 Maybe that's not bad. Would everyone mute your phone, please? 938, would you mute your phone? Check your phones to make sure they're on mute, please. 864-938. The last three numbers, that's where the sound seems to be coming from. Hello?
I'm sorry that I just called in. Did it go silent when I got off?
It's not you, Bob.
Oh, it's not me. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, look at the way words are used right now, and they are literally casting spells on people. They are capturing people. When I think about casting spells, I think about capturing thoughts and solidifying them in your psyche. And when people are called names and it's repeated and they are denigrating kinds of things, in certain people, they capture that thought in a sense, and it becomes real to them. Regardless of how much of a lie it is, it becomes their reality, and they begin to believe that thing. And that's why so many people, it seems, are being caught now, and I don't know. It's like they can't think for themselves. It's like their thoughts are entrapped in whatever the verbiage is that's put out there. And if they accept that, if we accept that for any group of people, any denigration just because someone else said it, without doing our own thinking about what's being said, that's like casting a spell to me. And so words have power, and the meaning of words can capture our thoughts and our emotions, and it can change our minds depending on how much we allow that to happen unchecked and unchallenged. Thanks.
Thank you. I think more than just the political climate, you see that with us as people.
Ron, hold on one second, please. I want to ask again, would everyone check to make sure that you are on mute? Vermeil, would you mute 938?
Do you want me to mute all and then unmute you?
Go ahead, Ron. Ron? Vermeil,
I think I have to unmute, right?
yeah, you muted everybody.
Okay.
You can just mute that one phone.
Okay.
Unmute everyone. Everyone, unmute your phones so you can have control of them.
All right.
Ron,
Yes, sir.
go ahead, please.
Can you? Okay. So I was just agreeing with what Bob said. That spell that has been on us for a very long time, and to this day is, people. We don't think as a people that we are equal to anything or anybody. We think that we are less than. We feel a sense of hopelessness, and we even as we have discussed, the sense of community is gone because words have divided us. So yeah, I mean, words are very powerful and they're very effective as in controlling people. So just want to say that that's part of what we combat on this line when we talk about these situations.
Mr. Ron,
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to add in this one statement. I've just submitted my absentee ballot, and there were some things that they were trying to amend. Abortion was on the ticket. They had some things about marijuana and fishing rights, and I literally had to read it several times and even go and do my research on it, because what seemed like a no wasn't really a no, and what seemed like a yes wasn't quite a yes. So to tag into what you and Ms. Barbara were saying, it was very deceitful. And if you're not familiar with the legal jargon, you could be voting for the wrong thing and thinking that your vote is going to another direction. That's all I wanted to share.
Yeah. it's very effective. And that's what it's meant to do, is cause confusion. Anyone else?
When we were talking about words, I looked up the word abracadabra. In Hebrew and in Aramaic, it means that I will create as I speak, is the literal translation of that. And it does have its origin in the East. And it goes, the word has, there is no sound. They don't know what the origin of the word is, but it was first recognized or written about in the 2nd century. So looking at the etymology of words is very important. It's extremely important, because the etymology of the word, as Bob said earlier, it does carry different connotations, and they are powerful. I remember my 9th grade English teacher told us as a class that be very careful when we were writing essays. Be very careful with your words, because words have power. And I never gave much thought to it, of course, being in the 9th grade. And the more I think about that statement that Ms. Nicholas made, the more I see what's going on. And if we think about what we have sought to put in the macro, we were very careful in choosing the words that we uttered, so that the connotations would be have a positive effect on humanity. Now, simply because we are ignorant of the etymology of so many words, or most of the words we speak, I do also believe that if our intentions are righteous, then righteousness becomes the meaning the results of the words that we speak, if our intent is righteous. And I say that because if you are making every attempt to be positive, and you don't understand that word that you are speaking and you think it's positive, and you're sincere about it, I do believe that that's how it's received by the energy of the universe, because your vibrations are attached to that word, has the power to change the vibration of that word itself. Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
It does.
So I'm not saying that to say that we should speak willy-nilly and say anything. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm talking about genuine errors that we make because we don't understand the etymology of it. That's pretty much what I am saying. I believe that we are probably having this discussion because we're entering a greater era, an era where the words carry more power, and we're beginning to see that. I think Barbara mentioned something about the words that we see it because of what's around us now. In saying in embracing what she said, I am saying that we are in a space where the Creator has granted us opportunity to be able to create as we speak. And creating as we speak does not mean that we are creating a car. You don't create a car, you make a car. you build a car, you manufacture a car. When we talk about creating, we are talking about creating an environment of emotions or an environment of a thought process that has an effect on humanity. And the environment that we desire to bring into existence is an environment of balance, an environment of righteousness. And the most effective people that I have listened to, who has the greater impact with words, are Republicans. They do better ads than Democrats. Now, don't get me wrong, Democrats are the same way in terms of the words, but I'm saying that there is a team that's better at it. And as Audrey said earlier, that particular team is all about projection. It is all everything that's being projected onto someone else is what they are doing. And it's the old bait and switch game. So I believe that this is telling us without any doubts, we are being told to monitor our speech. We are in a critical time. Monitor our speech. And because the Creator has granted us opportunity to come together and to have these discussions that leads to creating an environment for humanity. I believe that I have the authority based upon leadership to make a statement such as I'm about to make. And that statement is this: as we monitor our words, we project the energy of positivity, the rhythm of the universe onto every word that is spoken during the course of these discussions. And we are obligated to make sure that we speak to any words or any statements that has a negative connotation. That doesn't mean that we don't ask questions. It means that we make every effort to correct the rhythm that leaves the mouths of those who are on this call, the rhythm of the depth of the soul that dominates this setting. And I say that because as those of us who are in leadership, we have the opportunity, we have the authority to filter through our energy that we're given, everything that goes out. And let me tell you what I mean by that. For most of you on this call, I've said to you for years, when you're going through something, I tell you, I got it. And I know that you remember that. And when I'm saying I got it, I also said to you that nothing can come to you that does not come through me, because I'm your covering. And I meant that regardless of what it is, I cover you. And I have, and because it comes through me, it's going to have a positive effect on your life, even though it appears to be negative. So these statements that I'm making now are not just statements to fill space. These statements I'm making now are statements that is and shall be the governing body of words, of statements for the continuation of our quest on this journey of balance. Any questions or comments about that? Because I do want you to understand what I'm trying to say, or what I'm saying. Not so much, I'm not trying, I'm saying it. Questions or comments? Does it make sense, guys?
Pastor, it's Bill. I've got one. Can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me after the whole mute unmute thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, what we say matters a lot, but recently I was introduced to a little thought experiment that made me aware of also how we listen. Um, you know, speak of the devil. I always grew up, I didn't knowing intuitively what that meant, and I only say that after I hear your explanation of the etymology, because when, for example, two guys were talking about a buddy, and he walked up, referring to the very they
Bill,
show up. So
we can hear
that
you,
sort of
Bill.
made sense to me. You can
Bill,
or cannot.
Bill, you're in and out.
Oh, all right, I'll stop.
No,
Maybe it's
no,
because I'm
let's
moving.
start over. That's all.
Okay. I agree with your thoughts, comments on the phrase "speak of the devil," because in the usage I always heard, it was when two people in the same space are speaking of another person, and suddenly they walk in, and one of them says, "Oh, look, speak of the devil. Here he is now." But going on, not only what we say, but how we hear things. Recently, I was introduced to the concept, the phrase, "you don't want to be a boy who cries wolf," which in my culture, our culture, indicates you don't want to be someone who lies. You don't want to tell fibs. All kinds of bad things happen. Ultimately, if you cry wolf too many times, people don't listen to you anymore. And when you do need help, it won't arrive. The speaker who presented this pointed out if we think about it differently, you've got a very primitive village centuries ago, I guess. It's almost a parable, if not a fable. I don't know when the story first started. But if we can assume it was a primitive village and the flock of sheep was critically important to them, even to their survival, the men, can we assume, of the village task a small child to go watch this very important resource. The child sees a wolf. Child raises the alarm, the men come, no wolf. Well, anybody who knows predators knows that the wolf would have fled as soon as the multiple people showed up. But wolves, predators being what they are, it kept coming back. The child keeps seeing it, keeps raising the alarm. The people come, the wolf runs away. After a while, the people stop listening, they stop responding. The child, in the end, is killed by the wolf, proving that the wolf did exist, proving he was not a liar. And yet this story has been passed down to generations of children as a cautionary tale that they shouldn't fib. Can we assume simply to cover the failure of the leadership of this community to protect their flock and the child? This is a very different way to look at an older story, which I think fits in with today's topic. I will never hear the phrase, "Oh, you don't want to cry wolf," in the same way again, because it will immediately remind me that that village failed to meet that child's needs and their own needs. Talk about voting against your own best interests. They may have survived or not survived based on the number of sheep for their fiber, for their dairy, for their meat. This important resource trusted to a child who did try to raise the alarm and in the end cost him his life only because the adults of the village decided to ignore him. Going back to mute, but I think that fits right in with today's discussion. We not only need to watch our words, but we need to be much more critical about how we listen to other people. The story is not always what we're being told it is. Going back to mute.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. It makes sense to me. Project 2025 and people voting for Donald Trump. Same thing. Audrey?
I was just gonna ask, did I understand you correctly when you said something about something negative happening to us, but it's meant for our good? Or did I just misunderstand?
I think the words I used were different, but it meant the same thing you're saying. That because of the rhythm of positivity that we have, to say in simplistic terms, the rhythm of positivity that we speak with overcomes the negativity that is being spoken during the course of our discussions. Because the primary rhythm of the discussions is positive. It is a desire to be in rhythm with the universe as opposed to being an adversary to what the universe desires for humanity. And we are obligated, and because of this, our leadership in bringing humanity to harmony, to a place of harmony, it is imperative that we take on also the responsibility of responding to things that are spoken to be negative. For example, when we talk about the femininity and males feel like they're being condemned and begin to in different ways speak the negative towards femininity, always attaching something negative to that, then it's up to us to make sure that we bring clarity to it in a positive way by virtue of simply saying we are not talking about a male being less than. We are talking about the leadership of femininity because that is the divinity that brought life into the earth. Does that, I know there's a lot of words, but does that make sense, Audrey?
Yeah, it does. And what I hear you essentially saying is that we should produce a net positive for whatever, so that's what's in the macro.
Yes. And we
You
do.
also
Go ahead, Bob.
you also reminded us that as our covering, you know, there are vibrations and even when things seem to be negative in our lives and you say, I've got this, because they're filtered through you as a representative of one who's in sync with the universe, that even if it seems negative, in the end, it will result in positivity in terms of us and our lives. And that's how we should be thinking about things as well. Because that Bible verse that talks about all things work together for good to those who blah, 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 blah. It's the same kind of sentiment that regardless of what we're going through, whatever the challenges, however they seem to be, when we stay in sync with and rhythm with the universe and our intent and our motive to be balanced and to speak balance and to speak righteousness, etc., that it will work out as the universe intends for it to.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you.
That's ultimately what it means to stand in the gap.
Yes.
So that even though negative energy is flowing, because it comes through the righteous person, it ultimately is able to flow from you as positive.
Yes.
Is that not right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And to show you how real this is, most of us, especially most of us have been in church all of our lives. And when we talk about, I know in Gaffney and Spartanburg, but mostly Gaffney, where I have been pastoring for quite a few years, a person could stand in a meeting and make statements or teach, and the ministers in there could tell what church or who their pastor is, because they were reflective of that by the way they spoke, by their mannerism, the words that they chose, those kinds of things. And I'm sure there are enough people on this line in Gaffney for at least someone to remember those days when they were like, you must be Verna's church, Verna must be your pastor, Sanders must be your pastor, etc. So I'm saying that the reason that the reflection of the leadership could be seen in those who were being covered is because the energy of the leader was being infused into those who the leader covers. And that is why it is imperative that regardless of what leadership is going through, dealing with, the primary focus has to be to be a righteous covering for those who are being covered. And because of what we understand now, it is imperative that the covering be in rhythm with the universe so as to be an effective covering for those who are being covered. And that goes also for those who are teachers as well. It is imperative for us to stay in rhythm with the universe so that when we speak, we are speaking with the universe, not on behalf of it, but with the rhythm of the universe, which means that what we are saying comes with the authority to make things happen as we are experiencing now, and as we are recognizing the environment that we live in was created by those of us who desired truth to be prevalent in the earth. And truth is prevalent in the earth when the lie is being exposed. And what we are experiencing now is the exposure of the lies that we have lived under all of this time, the lies that this country has functioned under all of this time, the lies that colonialism and imperialism has spread it throughout the world. That's what we are seeing now, the exposure of those things. Kathy said earlier that she reads Overthrow until she gets to the point where it becomes disgusting to her, and she stops and starts again. It's because Overthrow exposes the lies that we have accepted as truth, and as a result of that, we must be righteous representatives of the truth. So now here we are talking about the verbiage and talking about the energy and the rhythm and the necessity of being in rhythm with the universe. Why are we talking about this now? Because there is a manifested shift that's right before us that we have not seen in the physical yet. We must experience the shift within before it is manifested. Just like in order for anything on this earth to have been created, for a tree to have been created, it had to exist in the mind of the Creator before it was brought into existence. So if we are to bring balance, righteousness into existence in this earth through manifestation, it must manifest in us first. And these obstacles that are being thrown in our way, the things that we are dealing with, we are going through them. We're not stopping in them. And it is imperative that we recognize what going through means so that we are able to have these changes to manifest within us so that they can be manifested in real time, thus freeing humanity from being handcuffed to the lies that has governed the earth for so many years. Thank you. Questions, comments? Make sense to you guys?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, it makes sense. I was thinking about something, and I think you just said it. You just said the same thing in a different way. I think I remember reading about some history stuff, and I was reading about World War II and the bombing in Japan. And the history of Roman noodles is this. The Japanese government invented Roman noodles. And what they did was it was designed for two purposes. After Japan was devastated during the war, the noodles were designed because the people had nothing to eat. There was no money. The noodles were designed that when you ate them, they were to expand and swell in you, to fill you up. And it was also designed with something in it to make you sleep. So the people were rationed the noodles because they wanted you to sleep at a certain time so you could get up and work and help rebuild things. So the noodles were rationed out, and you were told when to eat and when to sleep. And I bring this up because I'm listening to this discussion, and the scriptures talks about the earth being formless and void. And the formless and void are the lies that we've been told, the religious stuff especially, that kind of hold people. It was designed to fill you up and keep you asleep, but it was not nourishing. So what we're doing now is replacing that with nourishment, with what is real, what is truth, what is light, what is designed to awaken you and make you alert and see who you are, basically, mainly rather. And so I think, in a way, we are finishing creation by making the earth, bringing form to it and filling it, and it no longer being void. So I hope I'm saying the same thing the conclusion you were coming to, Pastor.
You are, Ron. And I see I see more in what you're saying. You're spot on. What I see in it also is that the scripture, when it says that by the sheep that are Elohim, it says in the beginning, God began and created Elohim. If beginning of everything that is the creator, then the creator is what brought into existence Elohim, which really is speaking to multiple gods, because Elohim is plural. And what did Elohim do? Elohim recognized, the gods recognized that the earth was without form and void. It was not created that way. It says that it became that way, meaning that it had form before. So what is the cataclysmic event that took place to cause the earth to be formless and empty? The consciousness, earth speaks to consciousness. So it's saying that the consciousness of humanity was without form and it was empty. What brought that cataclysmic event into play? What caused it? Could it be speaking of the Kushite kingdom that was organized and that was supplying the needs of humanity for the benefit of order in the earth, without a need for prisons, policemen, or any type of law enforcement, because the people were the law of Ma'at. And the void, the emptiness came, or the formless nature of it came when the invasion took place. The invasion of the Europeans destroyed all of the order in a community, all of the order in a kingdom. And it became formless and void. And from that time forward, it remained that way, because the idea of being formless and void was speaking to a material world, when in essence, it really was talking about the spiritual nature of humanity and how humanity functions in relationship to each other and the earth itself. And suppose that, as you say, Ron, that we are completing creation, that's exactly what we are doing. We are recognizing that everything that was said to have been created by speaking words are spiritual events that were given to us in material form, meaning that the sun it means something totally different than just a scientific explanation of it, as do everything else that was created. And that is also speaking to abracadabra, I create as I speak. So if this being what it is, we are not recreating, I'm sorry, we are not creating the world, we are recreating, because it talked about the replenishing, means that something was there before the formlessness and the void appeared. So could we be at, not could we are at this state where we are absolutely bringing shape to a divine shape to humanity. And the divine shape that we are bringing to humanity is the shape of the form and the fullness of it all by virtue of embracing the mindset of the kingdom of the Kushites, which actually we reference sometimes as being the Kemetic mindset. Could it it is that we are doing this, and we have been looking for ways for us to have the Kemetic mindset so that we can function as did the Kushites during that period of time when order was in the earth. We already have it. It's already with us. It is we have been functioning in the mind of the Kushite or slash Kemetic mindset ever since we embarked on this journey. That mindset that we have been functioning in, that is a spiritual mindset that has brought us to a place where we have to uncover everything that is without form and void, so that humanity can see the necessity in following the energy sources that we are putting in the macro, meaning that the words that we speak, we are creating as we speak. And we have created an environment where everything that needs to be brought to order can be exposed, so people will know how to function when order is brought to the earth. And that order is coming, that order rather is manifested spiritually already, because everything that can be uprooted is being uprooted. And we are witnessing this as we speak to this day, as we live through these hours. We are witnesses to this. But not only are we witnesses to this, we are the root cause of everything that's happening in a very, very positive way, because we are bringing into existence the mindset of Mayat by virtue of embracing the reality that the African woman is the mother of all, and embracing the divine nature of that, understanding that femininity and masculinity functions as one, understanding that the manifestation of a physical female is the manifestation of femininity, that energy, and the same with the male masculinity. So here we are embracing that tightly and beginning to see the results of the journey that we have been on for so long, and the desires that we have cried out for, to be able to see the manifested change for the benefit of humanity. That's where we are. And again, it is imperative that those who are teachers would be guided by this, because this saying that those who seek those who teach will be beaten with many stripes, meaning that if you lead people in the wrong way, you are going to go through things that is going to be detrimental to your movement. I don't mean you're going to be destroyed. Right now, this country, the people in this country are going through things emotionally because they don't know how to go through things spiritually. What we put in the macro is a guide for people to go through things spiritually. And that is the reason there are so many young people, and there are people who are older, for that matter, who are embracing the need for change and seeing all men as the same, and seeing that capitalism and imperialism and colonialism are detrimental to the benefits that humanity needs in order for it to exist in an orderly form. Does that bobtail what you're saying, Ron?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments about that?
Hey,
So-
Pastor.
I just say amen, ashe, all of those things.
Thank you. Charles?
Huh? You can hear me?
Yeah.
A while ago, I was locked out, and I was trying to get in, but I couldn't.
Well, you
I got
go ahead.
two different questions.
Okay.
My first question is when God spoke everything into being, and correct me, please. And when he spoke everything came into being. But he took his time with man. Did he use his hand to create us? Did he use magic or whatever?
Okay.
Did he use words to make?
No, Charles. Magic is a good word.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll deal with that, and I got two of them.
Okay, let's deal with this. We might not get to the other two until tomorrow. But anyway, the idea of God creating man. Beginning created Elohim, and that means that the creation of beginning, out of it came Elohim, meaning that out of it came God. And the mindset of man, of the thing that we call man, of humanity, is given to us when we look at what was brought into existence. When we start looking at what was created, doing what we call the creation story, these things are manifestations, that they are spiritual beliefs. They are a spiritual mindset of thoughts that is symbolized by the physical things that we see in the earth. Tree of knowledge, the wisdom of trees talking to each other, the wisdom that trees use to manufacture its own food, the wisdom that trees use in telling each other of diseases in their midst. All of these things, this is knowledge. So they are representations of spiritual truths. So what I'm saying in essence is this: what we have done, we have taken the symbol of the thing to be the thing, meaning that we have taken the symbol of a tree to be knowledge, when spirituality is actually the knowledge. No different than when our Christians especially, and Muslims also, and Jews for that matter, say that the inhabitants of Kemet, or the spirituality of the Cushites, worship multiple gods, in like Osiris and Isis. These are not multiple gods. These are symbols of a spiritual truth, and yet we see them as as the thing, it's the truth itself. We see them as being what they represent, as opposed to recognizing that they are a physical message to remind us of the spiritual nature behind them. So all of this, I'm saying, to hopefully get us to understand that from the beginning of, and God said, in that creation story, is the bringing into existence the mindset of humanity. And this idea of God creating man. Elohim creates man. How did Elohim create man? I create as I speak, meaning my desires are brought into a manifested state because of who I am. My desires are to manifest a physical representation of femininity and masculinity. However, the message must be sent, the message must be embraced, that everything that comes into existence comes through a womb. And that womb that it comes through is feminine in terms of its energy. So now we have a manifestation of what feminine energy looks like in terms of knowing that all life in this earth emanates, human life anyway, emanates from the womb of that woman. Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
So when because it's coming from the woman, there are no hands to create man. All of these are spiritual messages that have been interpreted by a group of people who does not have any essence of spirituality at all. The detractors from understanding spirituality and the ones who created the desire to destroy everything that represented spirituality, destroy it physically in terms of the writings, and destroy it emotionally by virtue of putting something in its place. I saw a video and I sent it to some of the people yesterday, and it says that God did not create the church. The Roman government created the Catholicism, and out of Catholicism came the church. Jesus didn't create the church. Caesar did, the Roman government did. When we understand that, we understand that these people who created these religions are the ones who sought to destroy any idea of spirituality. So when we understand that and began to question how all of this came into being, we began to see that it came into being by virtue of the spoken word. So man or humanity was brought into existence by the depth of desire of Elohim, meaning that Elohim became physical, became was manifested in a physical state because Elohim desired to be manifested in a physical state. And when we talk about Yahweh, when we talk about all the other names, we are talking about aspects of Elohim who desire to be manifested in a physical state. And that physical state that Elohim exists in at the moment and since the creation of everything that is, that state, that manifestation rather, came through the womb of a spiritual woman, meaning that it is the feminine energy that was inseminated with the masculinity, or a seed of masculinity brought into earth, a physical being called human. So it was not a hand that did it. It was the inherent authority of Elohim who desired to manifest in a physical way that brought humanity into existence. And the offshoots of humanity who came into existence are the people, the groups of people who are recognized around the world what we have been taught are different races, and have different ethnicity origins. These people were brought into existence as a result of the manifested genes of the first womb to bring into existence the physical existence of this thing that we call human. I got a lot of words, a lot of stuff. Questions or comments? I have to ask again, does it make sense? Here, are we seeing the spiritual development of the spiritual creation of what is? Are we
I
Yeah,
believe
I
so.
think,
It
Yeah.
resonates.
Okay. So are there any questions or comments about this? I'm telling you, I'm seeing things in a different way, meaning that, well, not different. I'm seeing them in a greater depth than we have seen them in the past. So if there's a question about this, this is the time to ask. I go through periods when I see things in different ways. And this is a day when I am actually seeing the greater depths of everything that we've been searching for, of everything that we have been desiring to understand. So this is your day. Please raise that question if it's there. Charles, what's your second question?
My second question is, explain when the Bible say that is power in the word, is power in the tongue. The power of the tongue can give you blessing or it give you cursing. Give me understanding of this.
I think we already have talked about that earlier, when we talked about the idea of speaking with word or creating as we speak. You can be in rhythm with the universe, and everything that you speak manifests in a positive way. It manifests in a beneficial way. As a matter of fact, the word say, and God said is good, is actually saying it's beneficial. So the words that we speak can be beneficial, or they can bring about pain for humanity. The mutated genes that brought into existence, the genes that were mutated from the African that brought into existence the European, are genes that did emanate with the African, but in a different way than they manifested with the African and other groups of people around the world. And because of that type of manifestation, we also get a mindset that is different than the other people around the world. And that different mindset is the substance with which Elohim is bringing into existence a balance in the earth. And that balance in the earth comes when we begin to embrace the reality, the spirituality of the African mindset, or the Kushite mindset. And I know what I am saying will be heard by other people, and probably is being heard differently by people who are listening right now. And what I am saying is reality. We cannot recoil from speaking the true nature of what is, simply because we have been inundated with a belief that Europeans are superior. And subconsciously, we function that way. The truth of the matter is that the most dangerous group of people on the earth are Europeans, and have been ever since they came in contact with the African. The first contact that I have been able to find when Europeans came in contact with the African was when the African entered Europe and began to populate what is now known as England, and some of the Africans populated an area near the Caucasus Mountains, And when the Caucasians came out of the Caucasus Mountains, they were a warring group. And the viciousness was so bad until those Africans who occupied this place that's called England now and the foot of the Caucasus Mountains, they left and went back to Africa because of the atrocities that were taking place and because they witnessed these people killing each other for no apparent cause other than to take the space that they occupied. The kingdoms that the African had experienced in the Kabbalah did not exist in Europe. The dwellers of the caves were the ones who were brutal toward the dwellers of the castles. So does that put anybody down? It does not. It's just the reality of what existed in the earth. And from that existence, we must recognize the reality of femininity as being the source of all creation. Now, if all people on this earth came from the African womb, then that means that the African is responsible for bringing balance to all the people on the earth, because we are the progenitors of every people on earth. It is not about hating anybody. It is not about embarrassing anybody. It is about recognizing the true nature of what is, so we can become not only the purveyors of truth, but we can become the cultivators of truth, so that life in this earth will be altered from the warring nature that we are currently experiencing. Does that make sense? Anybody, everybody?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Please. Comments?
So in this, Rev, I'm not telling it right. That means you got to watch what you say. You got to think before you talk. That's
yeah. Charles,
go ahead.
Think before you speak. And they're not Indians. They are native to this country. The reason they are deemed to be Indians is because of the ignorance of Columbus. He thought he was in India when he was when he came to this hemisphere. He thought he was in India, and he never set foot on North America. So that's why the inhabitants were called Indians. So go ahead, Charles.
Okay, my third answer, it goes back to when Elva was saying that the things that we used to do as African people, and when she said that, back then they used to hold up the fist in the air, and not only that, they had this secret hand. I ain't saying secret handshake. They had this handshake they used to do, and all those things they used to do, Caucasian used to wonder, is that a secret talk, or is that something about them? So they followed it. Everything that we used to do, they followed it. And then when they followed it, changed it.
Okay. First of all, in order for the African to exist in this country, there had to be secrets. There had to be a secret existence. And one of the secret existence was the creation of a language that is spoken to this day, but no one was aware of this different language other than the Africans who spoke it. And there were neighbors who did not know that language existed, even though they too spoke it. That's how secret it was. Yes, everything has been altered. If you could control the mindset of a people, you control the people. Meaning that if I'm your educator, then I insert the principles of what I want for me. what's going to benefit me into the process that I call education. When in reality, I'm indoctrinating you. And so therefore, everything that you think or do, you're going to attribute it to me, or you're going to be I'm going to be the benefactor of everything that you say or create or bring into existence, because I have trained you. And what we are doing now is not training. We are seeking to educate, because education, the meaning of education, and if you search the etymology of the word, you will find that it is a combination of three different Latin words, which when put together, they mean to lead one out of ignorance. So education is not saying that you're dumb. It's saying that you're not aware. So it is leading you out of your sense of unawareness. And what is it that we are ignorant of? The thing that we are ignorant of is who we are. And Ron alluded to it earlier when he said that we don't think. It's not that we can't think, it's that we don't think, because we have been taught to follow the instructions as opposed to thinking. We follow the instruction. For example, when Ron talked about World War II, no one knew what that war was really about until you began to look at the background of it. The instructions were that Hitler must be stopped. That's what the instructions were. The instructions were that Hitler is a barbaric man who is killing Europeans. He's putting Europeans in gas chambers, and he must be stopped. Now, the same people who said that are doing the same thing to the Palestinians today. They are doing the same thing to Palestinians that Hitler did to the Europeans during World War II. The only thing that's different in it is the method of the killings, the method of taking the lives. The method of genocide is different, but the death is the same. The results are the same. Ethnic cleansing is what Hitler was making every effort to bring into fruition. And that's the same thing that the United States and those who went through that process in World War II of ethnic cleansing are doing and perpetuating towards the Palestinians to this day, all because of the British idea of imperialism established along with American and France and Germany, established a nation that was called Israel because they are ignorant to what Israel means. But their purpose was not to establish a nation of spirituality or a nation of religion. It was to establish a presence in a part of the world that they wanted to control. And through Israel, everything in that area is controlled by the United States, Britain, France, and Germany to this day. So when we look at this, Charles, we have to look at through the eyes and through the nature of what reality is. I'm done. Questions, comments?
Thank you.
Roy?
Yes, sir. Thank you. A lot has been said, guys. So if you go back and listen to it, just write your questions down or send them in a text, okay?
Let me say this before we go on.
Yes, sir.
It sounds like you're about to take a pause, right?
I was, yes.
Okay, let me say this. As we separate in this physical this state of physical manifestation, please remember that it is imperative that we are cognizant of what we say. It is imperative that we speak the truth regardless of the results of it. Meaning that it doesn't matter what the ramifications are as long as you speak the truth. If today I must give up my life for speaking the truth, then so be it. We do not have the luxury of placating anyone. We don't have that luxury. We don't have that, meaning that we don't have the luxury of making people feel good. Our responsibility is not to soothe you so you can feel better about the wrong or the lie that you've been told. Our responsibility is to give you the opportunity to embrace righteousness. That opportunity is being offered. And righteousness is simply the principles of Mayock brought into one word. Righteousness is a force that can alter the mindset. Righteousness is the force that humanity is in need of right now. I'm not talking about righteousness as we were taught in the scriptures. I'm talking about the righteousness that we experienced during the period of the development of spirituality in the earth through the Kushite kingdom. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about righteousness. So, having said that, please be cognizant of what you say and how you say it. Be cognizant of what you hear. The reason that I'm able to talk so much about what's happening in terms of the political aspects of it is because my ears have been trained to hear. As Bill was alluding to earlier about being cognizant of the way you listen. Because the way you listen will tell you what's really being said as opposed to what's being projected. So with that, I say to you, enjoy the rest of your day. Unless there are questions or comments, you won't leave anybody hanging. Enjoy your day. And I do appreciate the reality of that all the people who joined us today are still on. And that tells me that we are at a critical time and people are feeling it internally, even if they cannot express or explain what they're feeling. Ron, is you, are there questions or comments? Can you say Ashe with me, or is resonated with you believe this, or amen, whatever?
Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe.
Amen.
And so it is.
Thank you. Right.
Yes, sir. And to the class and to Charles, we understand we still have Luke 12 to deal with, okay? We will do so. Okay. Have a great day, guys. Enjoy your day and look forward to seeing you tomorrow evening. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.